This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN Live, and we're at the LD Micro 10th Annual Main Event in Bel Air, California. With me right now is John Bluer from Blackridge Technology. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is BRTI. John, welcome to SNN Live.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you.
It's great to have you on. So, for our audience, let's start off with an overview of the company and go from there.
So the company is a cybersecurity defensive company. We provide a software solution to different market segments and different channels, but the technology is really very disruptive. We're first to market with this type of a product that does the types of things that this product does.
So, what's the history of the company? Where did you start, and then how did you develop to where you're currently at today?
Well, the two founders of the company, Bob Graham and John Hayes, essentially veterans of Silicon Valley. They've done everything: software, chips, hardware, motherboards, pretty much anything, storage, everything that's involved in the technology space. And they started working together, and they patented some technology that basically puts identity back into the internet. And the first real client was the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense came to them and asked them if they gave them some research and development money, whether or not they could provide a product that would help soldiers in the battlefield. The big problem was the soldiers all carry some sort of device. They've got some sort of a server connection, an IP address in the tanks and the Humvees, on their bodies. And the Taliban were scanning those, and they were basically being able to figure out what the troop deployment strength was in the field. And the Army wanted to cloak those IP addresses so that the scanners couldn't pick them up. And that was the core of the technology, and that's where we really started.
So, where is the technology currently at today, and what are the markets you're trying to address? Is it relatively the same thing, or are there different segments now you're going
Well, if you roll it forward a few years, the two founders put their own money into the company, and they took the product commercial. They brought a commercial version of the software, which does essentially the same thing that they were doing for the U.S. Army, and brought that to market in 2016, with IBM being one of the first big endorsers of the product for use in their Z System division.
So, who's the target customer? Is it more B2B or B2C?
We're basically providing cybersecurity defensive solutions to a broad range of different types of clients. The government, for one, we've just gone through an extensive testing process with the government, and we've been approved for sale inside the government. So we're a big client of ours is the Department of Defense. Probably one of the biggest consumers of cybersecurity in the world. We've also brought the product to the commercial markets, and we're beginning to, with the help of some new hires and some people we've brought on to run global sales, we're bringing the product to enterprises. And it's primarily, I would say, it's an enterprise solution for big businesses. What we do is our software basically puts identity in the very first instance of an internet session. By doing that, we can then stop those packets or those attempts to log into a server, into a network that aren't identified. It's a very unique solution. No one else has got a product like this. We have a very robust patent portfolio, and we're really excited about the opportunity because we're now starting to get traction with the product in the commercial side. And we're working really in healthcare with hospitals, hospital groups, health insurance, health data providers and storage companies, financial institutions, hedge funds, big banks, and we're doing a lot of work now in the blockchain area, and we're beginning to do with a partnership with IBM and in internet IoT, and so we've got projects going in all of those spaces.
And what's the size of the market opportunity you're trying to address here?
Well, we think we've got a really unique solution. We're trying to grow the company as fast as we can, and you have to think of it as basically a research and development company that we're making operational. And so we've been hiring salespeople, sales engineers. We've been hiring some discrete engineering and software people, particularly in the blockchain space, because we think longer term that's a big strategic area for us. And then we're working with a number of SCADA projects with Department of Energy and with NREL, which essentially is trying to figure out how to protect, from a cyber standpoint, the utilities. One of the most vulnerable places in the U.S. for cyber attack.
So I know you touched on a little bit of how the technology works, but let's say for me and you as the typical consumer, how would it work for us?
Well, what this does is it's really more for it's for the big enterprises that need to protect their data, and that's where we really are playing, and that's the space that we're in. At some point, we may be able to figure out how to secure your cell phone. We do have an endpoint product that we just launched. We did a news release about a week ago, which is something that can run on an individual laptop. But for you as a consumer, if this product had been in place with Equifax, we would have stopped the Equifax hack. So from a consumer standpoint, that's where it would affect you, because your data would be protected. It's the same thing. We're doing a big project in defense around health records. And we're looking at that, and we're working with them. We haven't got a contract yet, but basically that's when you're in the battlefield and you've been injured and they need to get the cloud records out to the battlefield. They want to secure that because, it's just like HIPAA. You want that protection over your records. So that's kind of the individual. That's how an individual would be affected by what our technology does.
So in terms of growth drivers, then it's all about pushing those sales out, then, I would guess.
Yeah, we've really defined our sales channel and our sales strategy, where we think we can be effective, whether it's OEM, whether it's direct sales or resellers. We've got our divisions set up now, and we're hiring people to go into those divisions and really that know how to sell security. And that's the biggest obstacle we have, is that we're a young company. We just got public in late February. We started trading in July, and a lot of people don't know we're out there. The Defense Department knows, but a lot of the companies don't. But anytime we get in front of a CISO or a CTO or a CIO, we're getting traction with the product in their company.
And what's your background? How did you get into all this?
I'm an attorney by trade. I was at the SEC. I have a financial background, and moved to Wall Street and worked in a number of very, very high-level positions on Wall Street. Ended up at Lehman Brothers and stayed there for a couple of years after the bankruptcy. And then I pretty much ran to the West Coast and started doing my own deal. And I started actually going in and helping restructure small companies and recap them, make sure that they've got all the tools, they've got the right people, and they've got the right capital structure to be able to grow really quickly. And so I came to Blackridge in the spring of last year. We started the audit process and went pedal down, and we got the company public by late February.
And John, for more information about your company, where can our audience go?
Best place to go is blackridge.us. And that site has lots of different pieces of information. There's white papers, there's studies, pretty much everything that you would need to know about how the technology works and why we feel so positive about the growth of the company. You can also go to Marist College's site. They've done some studies, and they've published the results of those studies that shows how our product is really so effective as a defensive product in the cybersecurity industry.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN Live, and we're here at the LD Micro 10th Annual Main Event in Bel Air, California. With me again is John Bluer from Blackridge Technology, publicly traded company. The symbol is BRTI. John, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you, too.